Welcome to Echo. If this is your first time joining us, we're really glad that you're here. We have a number of stories. I think we're up to 18 now, so there's 17 different recordings of stories, of one story, the story of God, where we're listening and we're hearing these reverberating sounds through history of His story, the story of God coming to earth, interacting with people and engaging and creating us. And this a wonderful, amazing section that we're in now, talking about Jesus. And we're talking today about His miracles. One of the maybe hardest sections for a lot of people. This is where the supernatural comes in and we see Jesus work in a powerful way. So let's look at today the story of Jesus' miracles. Well, today we're going to be looking at Jesus' miracles, as I said, and it's Matthew 8 and Mark chapters 4 and 5. And we're going to be doing a few scenes again. This is scene 1, the scene of Jesus calming the storm. It says, evening came. Jesus was exhausted from teaching all day. He asked His disciples to get into a boat so they could cross the lake and get away from the crowds. And as they took off, Jesus went to the back of the boat and He put His head on a cushion and He fell asleep. All of a sudden, a terrible storm came up. Strong winds, crashing waves, and no matter how hard the disciples tried, they couldn't keep the boat from filling with water as it was coming in. The disciples ran to the back of the boat in a panic to wake up Jesus, shouting, "Teacher, don't you care that we're going to drown?" Jesus awoke. He stood up and He said to the wind and the waves, Jesus said to the wind and the waves, "Quiet. Be still." As soon as He said this, the wind stopped blowing, the sea became calm, and then Jesus asked them, "Why are you so afraid? Didn't you believe in me yet?" The disciples just sat there. They were filled with wonder. They asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey Him." Jesus healed people with every kind of sickness and disease, and news spread quickly, and I guess it would, about Him, and huge crowds began following Him wherever He went. People traveled from the miles away to be near Him and to see the incredible miracles that He performed. Scene 2, in His miracles where He's recognized by demons. When Jesus reached the other side of the lake, a wild man filled with demons ran towards Him from a nearby cemetery. This man had been chained to some of the tombs to keep him from hurting people, but he snapped the chains from his wrists and his ankles. And now he wandered around all day and all night, screaming, hitting himself with stones. No one could control him because he was so strong. As he approached Jesus, Jesus said to him, "Come out of this man, you demon." The man fell down in front of Jesus and he screamed, "Why are you bothering me, Jesus, Son of God? Please don't torture me." Then Jesus asked, "What is your name?" "Legion," the man replied, "because there are so many of us inside of this man." Well, over and over, the demons begged Jesus to not send them away. Well, there happened to be a herd of pigs feeding on a hillside nearby. "Send us into those pigs," the demons pleaded. Jesus replied, "All right, go." And the demons came out of the man and entered the pigs. The entire herd of 2,000 pigs immediately rushed toward the steep cliffs into the lake, and they were drowned. Those who witnessed what had happened ran into the town to tell everyone they could find. Soon the entire town came out to see what had happened. They were astonished when they saw the man fully clothed and no longer insane. Then the crowd begged Jesus to go away and leave them alone. Take note of that. So Jesus and His followers went back to their boat. And as they were leaving, the man who had been filled with demons asked if he could go with them. And Jesus said to him, "You need to go back to your friends and tell them the great things that the Lord has done for you and how he showed you mercy." So the man went and he visited all the towns over that region, telling them about the great things that Jesus had done. And everyone he talked to, was amazed by what had happened. One last scene, the power over death when we're talking about Jesus' miracles. When Jesus and his disciples went back across the lake, a large crowd was already waiting for him on the beach. One of the local Jewish leaders named Jairus ran to Jesus and he fell down at his feet and he begged Jesus, "Heal my 12-year-old daughter. My little girl is very sick and about to die," he cried. "Please come and heal her so she can live." Jesus went with Jairus towards the house and the crowd followed along. Along the way, some of Jairus' friends stopped him saying, "We just came from your house. Your daughter, she has died. There's no use bringing the teacher to your house now." Jesus ignored them and he said to Jairus, "Don't be afraid. Trust me." Then Jesus told the crowd, "Stay back." And he only let 3 of his disciples, Peter, James, and John, come in with him. When they arrived at Jairus' house, there was a crowd of people inside weeping loudly. Jesus asked them, "Well, why are you weeping? The girl, she's not dead. She's just sleeping." The crowd laughed at him, and then Jesus sent everyone outside except for the girl's parents and the disciples that were with him. When they went into the girl's room, Jesus took the girl's hand and he said, "Little girl, get up." Immediately, the girl jumped out of the bed and she began walking around. Her parents were absolutely amazed. Jesus told them to give her something to eat, and he asked them not to tell anyone about what they'd just seen. The miracles of Jesus. All right, this is the one everybody loves to talk about, the miracles of Jesus. Jesus is the dude who does stuff that's not natural. In fact, we call it supernatural. So what do we understand? Some really good questions are going to come out of this one. So which of our stories talk about the wind and the waves? And which of the other ones that we learned about this? Do you remember? Israel crossed the Red Sea. Really strong, the Noah in the ark. So some of these pictures, it's not a coincidence that this is happening. So I kind of gave you the answer already, but what's happening in those stories? If you were in a boat, how do you think you would have responded to Jesus? Jesus is laying there asleep, and literally, they're friends. I would say they're the best of friends at this time. And like literally they're drowning. The water is going over the boat. So if you were, what would you think? So what do we learn about the disciples from this scene? Why do you think they woke Jesus up, or why do you think they waited so long? So lots of different angles. Make sure you cover those and think about that. Why didn't they do it right away? Why did they wait? What were they worried about? Why do you think Jesus waited to calm the storm until the boat was full of water? It's not a joke. Maybe he's not just a really heavy sleeper. There's something going on here. And what do we learn about Jesus overall from this scene? Now, the one with the demons, the second one, that he was recognized by the demons, these questions, again, all 3 of these were the miracles, really interesting questions. So the man, what do we find out about this man who met up with Jesus in this scene? Everything that comes to your mind, describe that. Chains and tombstones and cemeteries, lots of stuff going on there. And something, I don't know if you've ever considered this. What are demons? Where did they come from? Are they fallen angels? Are they created by God? How did God treat the demons in this story? Well, I think we see pretty clearly what happens. He judged them and he cast them out, and they're out of his presence. Sorry, I'm giving you the answers to these questions. Sorry, I won't give you any more answers. How do you think the demons knew who Jesus was? Why were they afraid of him? How did people who saw what happened respond? Oh yeah, just another thing that Jesus guy is doing. Like, read what it says, right? The whole town, like it's really, really intense. Why do you think the crowd begged Jesus to go away? This is definitely a plot twist here. How did the man who was set free from the demons respond? Why did Jesus tell them he couldn't go on the boat? And what do we learn about Jesus from this story? Really, really powerful pictures that is going on. This last story of Jesus literally raising a little girl from the dead. What kind of emotions do you think that these girls' parents were feeling? Was Jesus the last resort? Why do you think the people doubted Jesus in this scene? Why do you think that Jesus sometimes asked people not to say anything about his miracles? That always interested me as I was growing up. How did people usually respond then to Jesus' miracles? And what do we learn about Jesus from this scene? So from all of these scenes and all of these stories, I keep reminding us, what are we learning about God? What are we learning about Jesus? How do these tie together with the story of God? From these stories, what are some of the reasons that he performed these miracles? What was Jesus showing that he had power over? Like death? Like creation? Demons? Really, really amazing. We serve the risen Savior who just does miracles, but we're going to find out he does a lot more. Please go online, check out the stories. Make sure that you're following along. Answer the questions, whatever age, our junior high or senior high, or young adults, anyone in the church. These are for you to know more about the story of God. See you next time.